Good morning, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of Ranking the Albums. Today we're going to look at the studio catalog of a favorite band of mine, Texas's own little power trio, zztop. One of the probably most important bands of the kind of blues rock / southern rock scene, and also a band that's kept the same lineup for like a million years. Are they at 50 years yet? Give or take, right? It's near there. It's either 50 or 48 or 49, something like that. It's been a long time. And they've got a rich and varied catalog, all right? Band had a string of 70s albums that are just absolutely incredible. Okay, then, of course, they hit it big in the early 80s and through the 80s with a kind of like a different formula, different take on their blues rock style. And in more recent years, they've kind of tried to come back to that kind of heavy blues thing that they did early on, right? So, I've got my favorites, obviously. I've got some that are not so favorite, but I think most of their albums have, some stuff to recommend, if nothing else, right? So I'm going to go, as I always do with these videos, I'm going to start from my least favorite, go to my favorite. Some of the bottom half could be interchangeable a little bit. The top half, I'm pretty much set on. Some of those albums that sit at the top of my list, mostly from the 70s, are just absolute classics, absolute barn burners, right? So those are pretty near and dear to me. I mean, man, Billy Gibbons, gotta love him. It's the reason why I wore this shirt today, as opposed to I was gonna wear my Fandango shirt. I also have a really cool shirt with all three of them on there. It's a black shirt, but man, something about Billy playing a Gibson Les Paul. Whew, I'll tell you. Fantastic. All right, so we're going to start off with my least favorites. Remember, you may have, obviously, everybody's going to have a different list of favorites, all that kind of stuff. So the goal of a show like this is to discuss the zztop catalog and the albums that you love and why, or maybe the ones you don't love and why, and put your list down in the comments below. Remember, we all hear things differently. We all have different opinions on these albums. A lot of these albums kind of came to us at different points in our lives, so they mean different things to all of us. So there's no right or wrong answer here. So let's get started. So my least favorite zztop album, an album that I just don't really have much use for, is Afterburner. This was basically, for me anyway, kind of Eliminator Part 2, and not a very good one, not a very good sequel. I'm not a huge fan of this era of zztop, the very kind of programmed, gimmicky. I know it made them a lot of money, right? And it got them a lot of new fans, but I just, Sleeping Bag, okay. Rough Boy's got some good guitar work on it. I don't know. Velcro Fly, kind of fun. But I don't know. Much of this album for me is just kind of like by the numbers, kind of forgettable. I know it has its fans out there, and it's okay, right? You can't love everything, right? Coming in next, I'm going to go with the Triple X album. Not a bad album. Some of these latter-day zztop albums are not bad. I think one of the problems I have with a couple of them is that there's just too many fucking songs. And it's just and after a while, they all start to kind of sound the same. But what I appreciate of the latter-day zztop stuff is they're trying to get away from the kind of real stodgy, robotic sound of those 80s albums into more of a, kind of the blues rock beginnings. But I tend to classify the latter-day zztop stuff, the more recent stuff, as kind of blues rock or blues metal rock, all right? And blues by Blooz. And I don't know why, it's kind of silly, but raunchy Billy Gibbons guitar tones on these albums. Again, the songwriting's kind of not as addicting as the early stuff, obviously, but they're trying, I think, to get back to that kind of feel of those early albums. These albums, they rock, they're bluesy, but they're like nasty, nasty guitar tones, very kind of metallic, and I like them. They're not great, but I like them. Same thing with this Mescalero. All right, it's coming in next for me. Again, way too many songs. I mean, just way too much, guys. One of the reasons why I like their most recent one is because it had 8 or 9 songs. That was it. I mean, God, how many's on here? 15? It starts off great. The title track is awesome, right? And there's actually some Alligator is actually pretty good. Just way too much stuff. But, a good chunk of it is fun, right? Like I said, those raunchy guitar tones. Gotta love it. All right, next up, I'm going to go with Recycler. Again, not from my favorite period, but I think this album was a big improvement over Afterburner, for me anyway. Okay? Concrete and Steel, kind of heavy. All right? Got kind of a bruising riff in that, which I always kind of dug. My Head's in Mississippi is kind of a scorching, bluesy tune, right? Man, the riffs in that. Solo is really, really good. Okay, Burger Man's kind of fun, 2000 Blues. Again, not top shelf ZZ Top, but I think for me, certainly a step in the right direction from Afterburner, which not a big fan of. All right, next I'm going to go with Antenna, another more recent, it's quite old actually, but 90s album, but I think a pretty good one. Pin Cushion, that's kind of a fun tune. Fuzzbox Voodoo. Antenna Head, Cherry Red is good, Lizard Life. I mean, there's some kind of cool kicking ZZ Top tunes on here. I dig it. Next up, I know, probably going to be a favorite of a lot of people, but I think if you're a long-time ZZ Top fan, and especially a fan of those 70s albums, I think most people are not, that audience probably not a huge fan of this album, but I think for those who really didn't listen to them in the 70s and came into ZZ Top later on, probably love this album, and that's Eliminator. I'm on the fence with this album. I like it obviously better than Afterburner, and I think just on merit alone, I like it a tad better than Recycler, although I think I probably listen to Recycler more. And, this was a huge, huge album for the band. And again, the songwriting's great. If there was no 70s albums that came before it, I might agree that this is a fantastic album. But my problem is, it's just so accessible. And not accessible is not bad. But I think that it just took so much away from the spirit of what ZZ Top was. And it's not that there aren't kicking songs on here. All right? Okay? Got Me Under Pressure. Great tune. All right? Great tune. And I really enjoyed Sharp Dressed Man and Give Me Your Lovin' when they first came out. All right? It's completely overplayed to death, right? It's like everywhere you went, they were playing those songs. Every time you turned on MTV, they were playing those videos, right? Legs. Legs is probably my least favorite song on this album. Again, his guitar tone is monstrous on here, but man, all the programmed drums and all this, it's just, and I saw, I saw them not that long after this, and I was really disappointed, TV Dinners is cool. There's some good tracks on here. I find I don't listen to this album much because it was everywhere when it first came out. It's just overexposure for me, big time. But a huge album for the band, an important album for the band. Okay, for me, it just doesn't rank higher because I just can't do it, I mean, if you love it, great. That's very cool. I know a lot of people are going to really dig that. I am a big fan of La Futura, which is their most recent studio album from a handful of years ago. Some really, really strong tracks on here. I love Billy's guitar tone on this album. I Gots to Get Paid. Man, Chartreuse. Man, Consumption. Heartache and Blue. Flying High, just really dirty, grinding blues rock. And again, it's different from the early stuff. Their more recent stuff is kind of slower and just like swampy, and it's just hard to explain. But I dig this album. And again, not that many tracks on here. All right, there's 10 on here, right? And if you get the CD copy, you get a couple extra ones. But I find that that's probably enough for ZZ Top. 9 to 11, that's it. 15, 16 tunes, it's way too much. This is a really good album, Rhythmine. Another more latter-day album. I think this is easily the best album they've released since, the early 80s. This is just a nasty, metallic blues rock album. And I stress metallic. Vincent Price Blues, a title track. Bang, Bang, Black Fly. Zipper Job. Just blues metal. Absolutely. All right. Here is where the guys are like, get rid of those damn synths and pre-programmed drums and let's get back to playing some raunchy heavy rock, people. Love it. If you haven't heard it, you need to. All right, next up. I'm going to go with El Loco. Again, not as strong as, all those albums that came before it, but it's still pretty damn good. And this is, right before they decided to really go, more mainstream on us. Tube Snake Boogie, 10-Foot Pole, Lila, Got My Pearl Necklace. Good songs on here. Good stuff. All right, next up, going to go with Tejas. And, by the way, if you're noticing all these like little thin things, I actually bought that little box set that had all of the albums from the first up to Recycler, all remastered in these little, replica sleeves. Sound fantastic, all the original mixes and things like that. Just really, really good. Tejas. Arrested for Driving While Blind. Great song. El Diablo. It's Only Love. Sleep in the Desert. How beautiful is that song? A lot of really good songs on there. Tejas, very, very strong. But I think, some people might rate Tejas a little bit higher than this next one, but I really dig DeGeo. And this for me was kind of like my intro to the band. I liked what I heard on FM radio when I was young, all right? But it wasn't until I heard, obviously Cheap Sunglasses that really made me kind of wake up and notice zztop and was like, oh, man, I'm digging that. That's bluesy, but that's pretty damn heavy. All right. I Thank You. Another great song on here. And I'm Bad. I'm Nationwide. Fool for Your Stockings. A lot of really, really strong tunes on here. Very well produced. I think that was, DeGeo was kind of the album that kind of took, they almost like they were popular, but kind of took them a little bit to the next level, which, a couple albums later, just blowing up big time. All right, next I'm going to go with Fandango. If you watched my listening room yesterday, I spoke a little bit about this. Even though I know it's half live and half studio, I'm including it here because I think the studio stuff is damn good. All right. I'm a big fan. Nasty Dogs and Funky Kings, right? Blue Jean Blues, Mexican Blackbird, Heard It on the X. I heard it on the X. I mean, Jesus. Sorry. I gotta digress for a second. I apologize. There have been a couple of you over the last couple of weeks who have commented to me to say that, Pete, I love your show, but you say very often Jesus and Christ, and I'm a religious person, and it's kind of bothers me. It borders on offensive. And I must say, I apologize. I am a Italian Catholic from New York. We say those things a lot. I don't even notice I'm saying them. All right. It's just like saying shit or man or, whatever. And it's not meant to be disrespectful to the man up above. It's just a term. It's not connected to him at all or her. So I apologize if it bothers you. Just understand it's not coming from a bad place. All right. I don't even realize it's just part of my dialect. It has been my whole life. And it's just a word. Okay. It's not pointed to, you know what I'm saying? So again, I just caught myself. That's like the first time because I always say it and I don't even realize I'm saying it. So anyway, I digress. Back to Fandango. All right. Now I am, the live stuff on here. I made a comment on the listening room show that, the live stuff is cool, but I would have rather had a full album of studio tracks. And one of our viewers made a comment, but the live stuff is like legendary on here. And even though the studio stuff is great, the live stuff is what makes this such a great album. And what my comment was that, it's covers and things like that. And I get that they included it here because, they were playing these songs live, but never intended on recording studio versions, obviously. So here you have what they were playing live that you're not going to get on the studio album, right? But live versions. I think I always love the energy because, I never saw zztop back in the day, but the energy of, if you've heard any recordings from this era, mid-70s, all right, man, those guys were cooking live. So I think as a kind of snapshot of how these guys were on stage at the time, and it's a shame they never released an official live album from that time period. absolute travesty. These live tracks are so energetic and they're so powerful. All right, I guess I just wish they were doing, it was more original stuff and not the cover tracks. But, hey, I mean, Thunderbird, Jailhouse Rock, I mean, they're just, magical. The big medley, great stuff. I agree. All right. Next up, coming in at number 3, I'm going to go with their debut, ZZ Top's first album, which I love quite a bit. It always seems to me when I get into conversations with people, whether they're friends or acquaintances or even on the channel here, I seem to like this album more than other people. I don't know why. I just think this is a terrific debut album, and it's just so gritty and mean, and just love it. I mean, first of all, Brown Sugar is my favorite ZZ Top song of all time. Okay, Squank, great. Somebody Else Been Shaking Your Tree, killer tune. How about Going Down to Mexico? All right, Neighbor, Neighbor. Ugh. Just love the Les Paul riffs on this album are just killer. Just got back from Babies. Ugh, his tone on this album is just absolutely nasty. I can't tell you how much I love that album, but I love these two just a little bit more. All right, we're gonna go with Rio Grande Mud or Rio Grande Mud, however you like to say it. The second album. Just Got Paid. Cocoa Blue. Chevrolet. Francine. Apologies to Pearly. How about the crankin' Whiskey and Mama? Oh, man, is that heavy. There's some tunes on these early albums that are just bruising, heavy blues rock. Oh, God. ZZ Top, almost unbeatable at this time period. All right, and of course, you obviously know what my number 1 album is going to be. It's got to be Tres Hombres. Way too many classics for me on this album. Way too many. When you got Waiting for the Bus, Jesus Just Left Chicago, and Beer Drinkers and Hellraisers, and then Master of Sparks. I mean, just think about how legendary kicking off an album with those songs are. It's hard to beat, right? Hard to beat. Move me on down the line. Precious and fucking Grace. Killer. You know what? You could take LaGrange off this album, and it's still my number 1. LaGrange is awesome. It's legendary, right? We've heard it all a million times. But, man, the rest of this album, just, have you heard? Have you heard it? Like I said, even without LaGrange, this just kills. This is number 1, even without it. Love it. Production is just so, fat. Killer, killer, killer. Just absolutely love it. Anyway, there you have my ranking the studio albums from ZZ Top. And so what I'm going to do, what I want you guys to do is I want you to rank the albums. You can give me all of them. All right, you can do your top 5, your top 10. You can list your least favorites, however you want to do it. But tell us why you love them or why you don't like them. All right, that's the purpose of the show, is to let's talk about these great ZZ Top albums. All right, so let's go back, or let's start from the top. All right, my favorite, Tres Hombres. Coming in number 2, Rio Grande Mud. Number 3, ZZ Top's first album. Number 4, Fandango. Number 5, Degeo. Number 6, Tejas. Number 7, El Loco. Number 8, Rhythmine. Number 9, La Futura. Number 10, Eliminator. Number 11, Antenna. Number 12, Recycler. Number 13, Mescalero. Number 14, XXX or Triple X or whatever you want to say it. And coming in last at number 15, we're going to go with Afterburner, my least favorite out of the whole lot. There you have it. Okay. As I said, I am off to Boston, Massachusetts very shortly. Driving up to Beantown, business trip for a couple days, so it's going to be a little light on the content. I do have an idea for later tonight. I've been talking about doing a kind of like a live, first live shoot in a while. And as I've said, that each one's going to be a theme. I'm done with the questions and answer shows, but these shows, any of these live shows I do going forward, are going to be kind of like theme-based. So it's going to be on one theme, and we're just going to sit and have chats about this theme. So since I'm going up to Boston, and guys, keep this, and I'm hoping to do it tonight. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the computer with me when I go out to dinner and a beer later, and I have a feeling I know exactly where I'm going to go, and I think it'll be a good spot. I'm going to bring the computer and do a live feed, all right, hook up to Wi-Fi there and do a live feed, and I'm going to be in Boston. So here's what I want you to do. So hopefully you guys catch this video today and are available later today. We're talking probably like somewhere in the 5:30, 6 o'clock range, thereabouts, all right? Going to have a conversation about Boston bands. Okay, bands from Boston, songs from Boston, music from Boston. All right, because I'm going to be in Boston. So think about some of your favorite bands. Be prepared to talk about some of your favorite songs from bands from Boston or Massachusetts area, up in New England. All right, and we'll have a little 30, 40-minute chat while I'm eating dinner, having a beer, that sort of thing, about great music in rock history from Boston, whether it's metal, hard rock, prog, whatever, jazz, the whole 9 yards. So keep that in mind, and you'll get ready for my little notification when I actually sign in live. All right, we'll do that tonight. All right, so I'm looking forward to it. So visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter. Of course, we're on the mighty YouTube all the damn time. Thanks for watching this ranking the studio albums from zztop. Here's that box that I was talking about, by the way. Okay. Definitely get that. It's called The Complete Studio Albums 1970-1990. Highly recommend it. Killer. They all kind of stack up in here. It's like a little clamshell doohickey. It was a great purchase, and not expensive at all. Not expensive at all. So if you got to have all those classic ZZ Top albums, that's the way to do it. All right, guys. We'll see you later tonight. All right. So take care. Have a good one, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.